Right then, so part 2 of this battery removal process. This is where we're going to hopefully pick up some pace and get the battery sorted out. What am I talking about? Get the battery swapped. So you might notice at the back I've got another one that I've just ripped out of the system. Now I'm not going to say that was the cleanest job I've ever done. To be honest, it's a bit embarrassing. I just tore it out, but for me it's more the concept. I've got to get this battery out. I don't really have a choice in the matter. So I just want something in its place for now. Even if it doesn't work. I'm talking quietly, I apologise. I just want something in there for now, and then I can place an order for a new battery. If this doesn't work or doesn't hold weight. Okay, so that feels nice. So first things first, off with the antenna. As that was the cameras, we'll put that in that screw little tray over there. I must admit, because this is going to be I think this is going to be a little toy device of my own that I end up keeping. I don't really care too much about how it all goes back together again and the right screws go in the right place. And that might sound like a stupid statement, but some of the screws look like they're less than a millimetre in size difference. Just throw that there. So, first things first. First, we need to keep all the nice bits and bobs. The cardboard box up there. And when you take off the antenna bar, you'll notice that it's got a connection to the motherboard, which is there. That thing there. It's got like a little fuzzy little thing on it. It'll just come up naturally when you pop the board off, but if you want to take it up yourself, use a plastic, whatever you want to call it. I have Mr. Plastic Man on a standby. Plastic spudger, is it? I think they're called, or sponges or whatever. Just pop it up. That's that bit off, and then nice little tune there for Christmas. Hopefully you should be able to just release this antenna bar and it pops up without causing too much trouble. We'll have to screw in somewhere. No, there you go. One antenna bar off. So that's job number one. And then underneath that you've got the cameras that need to also come off. I didn't realise that they screwed on the front facing camera. Yeah, the other two just slide off. It's been a while since I took one of these apart. I did notice though that there's not really a lot to it. I might even try and fudge this off a slightly different way. But for now, let's keep on track. So you for our antenna. Let's put that over there because I might put multiple different bits in. And then we're going to have one screwdriver then that's going to take this off now. And it feels like he's the right piece. So let's take some of the pressure off the battery. Small little gold screws. Put them there. Got one. Okay, that looks all integrated to the fan. So I haven't took apart a fork in a heck of a long time. So I am going to be feeling my way through this as we go along as well. God, though I haven't took one off in ages, it still fills me with dread. Having to play around with a battery that's about to go bang. Also taking off these sheets of metal. Oh, that one came off really easy. With the plastic spudger, I have tried this and tried this and tried this with plastic many times. I've also tried doing that and going underneath it and end up knackering it. So I'm going to revert back to the tool I told you guys never to use. But I know it works. And it's my surface, so if I fluke it up, then that's on me. Let me just give it a little bit of careful not to go underneath it and take the housing up as well. It's the smallest little prizes up until you can get a corner. And once you've got a corner, it becomes a simpler task then. Try and keep them, without being too harsh, but at the same time putting enough force in there so it doesn't curl and bend. If you notice this whole heat sink here, if we follow it, is also connected to the CPU. So the CPU has to come up. And when the CPU comes up, the fan comes with it as well, and it effectively exposes the board then. But the screws are going to be underneath here and here as well, and you have to take these things off as well. So we're going to do our best not to go too stupid and just try as best as we can not to mess this up. So is this screw going to be the same? No, let's not knacker the screwdriver up as well. So there's numbers on the CPU. CPU. 1, 2, 3, 4. If you've not done this before, it would be really worth you getting like a proper little screw box. Make sure you make notes where they go. I'm winging this, and I'm going to hopefully not regret winging it, but winging it nonetheless. 3 and 4. Okay, so that's now. I remember the screw that dropped on the floor on part 1. That actually came out from the board already. Okay, so that goes around there, that one goes around there. It looks like the next screws that we have to attack are around the fan area. So we're going to disconnect the fan now. So there's one here. And the idea is that I'll try and keep the screws relevant. So this isn't attached to the silver heat shield, this is just attached. So I seem to remember the first time I did this, it was a bit more complicated than this. It might be in the 5. Okay, so now the fan's up. Oh, I think there it is. I remember this one now. So where it's got a number 8, there's a slightly bigger screw. That's connected to the board. Hopefully, although that is showing there's a screw there as well. I missed that one. Yeah, you're going to need your 2 pieces. I think they're on the T set. I think they're the small one and then the next one up. I'll say T5 and T8 or T6. Sorry. Okay, so that's sort of coming up nicely. Now notice I don't have a static wrap on. You should. Okay. I don't. I accept full responsibility for that. Okay, so when I try to take the fan up now, it's connected to here. The fan is. If you've got a fanless system, you won't have a slot for that. So I think it was that one there. Flick him up, and then he should just slide away. Now there are little dots here that you can shove something like that into there and pull it out as well. You do whatever you think's right. Mine is just a guide. And do I try and take a shortcut? So to me, it's getting here was the key thing. Absolutely the key, because I need this battery out. I don't even want it in the house when it's this fat, just in case it decides it's going to be naughty. So I've got to get it out, and I'm going to show it very little to no mercy and just literally tear it out. But here, when you put the new battery, the junk battery I've got here over it, is where the board sits back in there again. Okay, you see that? And we need to get this bit up, pop that back in again, and there's a little notch for that to go in, and then sink the new battery back in again. Now I have seen videos where people have done this by just doing a small amount of screws and gently prising this up, and I'm just sitting here scratching my head thinking, is it worth a pop at it? And I mean, there's only a few screws that I need to come out anyway. It gets a bit hairy around this side of town, but once you've done a few of these, you know this bit inside out. The hardest part is going to be playing around more around here. So I'm going to see if it's possible to do it. Okay, what the heck? Let's make sure I've got the right screw in. So now I've taken motherboard screws out, I'll try and keep motherboard screws in a different box, so I'll know that when I'm putting this back together again, I've got motherboard screws in the other box that need to go down first. I'm also really keen to disconnect the battery as well, so then if I accidentally turn it on, it's not going to be a problem. And I'm also trying to go quickly for some stupid reason, which, you know, given that if I do decide to sell this on, that some poor person may end up with a dodgy system because I was rushing. So I'm going to stop and take stock and make sure that I'm doing this as best as I can. So that is most of the screws up that you can see, but there are screws under these panels as well. And the thing is, I think they're under all of them. It's just hard to remember exactly which ones have them and which ones don't. But just as a quick show, you see the board will come up a little bit where this battery really is making itself known. I just really do just want to tear it in one go and just rip it out. But I don't think I'll get her out and it'll be an absolute nightmare. Decisions. Right, so I did tell you it was going to be off the cuff as best as I can. Just no hiding what I'm doing. So I just disconnected the speaker. Well, I think that's the power button. No, that's the power button there. I don't know what that one does, but I've disconnected it. That's that one there. I'm going to pull that cable up. That's the speaker. And then here's the power button. So we're going to put that little cable up here. And I'm going to use the little spudger thing to slide it off. Okay, so that now is this part of the board freer, shall we say. It doesn't look like there's any screws here yet, so they're going to be more around here. Do I just do the whole flipping lot? Moral guidance, if you were here now, I'd appreciate you giving me some guidance. Speaker, definitely not like it, but you can come out. Again, remember I said I was going to try and keep motherboard screws all together. And then I'll have my exotic screws at the end. Now what's important for you is you remember where the exotic ones go. If in doubt, get a camera out and take photos. So camera. I don't think there's any more screws for me to worry about it. There's two in there, so we know we had two there. Let's take another picture of these. Okay, so camera picture's taken. So what I'm going to tackle next, I'll tackle all the screws that I can see out here. I'm sure there's a screw under here or under here. I can't remember which one it is. And I think there's one there as well. So we need to take this screw out. That one I've already taken out. And then we need to take him out, disconnect him. Actually, we can leave him in. We just need to disconnect him from the board. So that's going to be the first one we're going to take out here. That's the SD card, micro SD card. And these are fatter, blacker screws. So note for camera, they went into the far left. I can refer back to this recording to work out where everything goes. And this one's quite cute because I can do that and do that. And then I'm left with just this one shield here, which I need to pop up. Come on, one shield, come up with this. Not even one. Not even one. I think he wants to come up. Come on, you can do it. And you'll keep, whoa. One came up. And then you just pop this connector right here. Plastic spudgeon. There you go. And then, if you need to replace the SD card for whatever reason, that is all it is. And it pops into there. We've also got another heat shield here, which is the power connector. So we need to take him out as well. And I believe there's a screw here as well, which we've got to pop off, but we're going to do that next. So first things first, let's take the power connector off. The fun is putting them back on again, I think. There you go. If you prise them nicely and they flick up, right, I know it sounds stupid, but it's actually better. So if you've got a surface that doesn't power up as well, and it's not charging, the charge port's dead, that's the charge port. And once you got to here, you just flick this thing up. It's like a little black bar on here. You basically put it out. I'll do it differently on this one. And out she comes. There you go. 2 screws, 1, 2. Throw the old one in the bin, put the new one away. On, sorry, and away you go. We don't need to worry about that now though, because we're not taking the charge port off. And from what I can see, I've not been told that it's got a problem. But in the wild west of playing with computers, anything can happen. Okay, so that's almost all the screws out, with the exception of this big one over here, which is the speaker. Can I manage to do my hand? The speaker one here. I've got no idea how this video is going to turn out. But taking screws off, that was the speaker one we just took off. Pop this one up here. That's the speaker one done and dusted. So there is another cable on here that I've not seen before. I don't know what it does. I don't remember seeing it on the Surface Pro 5 either. So that one comes up anyway. And we just use that wonderful little pointy bit to just pop him out. I'm sure it's got something to do with the speaker. There you go, that's that one out. So now there's going to be something under one of these hatches that's holding this all in. So we know there's nothing there, but there feels like friction here. And we know that there's something plugged in here. Now ideally I'd love to just flip the board over, but I do think that it's going to be a bit of a challenge, so I think I have to take the board out. And it's really worth taking the board out anyway, just to avoid any mess ups that you have with the battery. I can't. This one doesn't want to come up in one go. Oh crap, there's no screw under this one. Oh, you took something off that didn't need to come off. There's no screw under there at all. Oh well. Let's rebend that one back in place. Oh, I feel like crying now. So there's no screw into that one as well. No screw, no screw, no screw. Where can you be? There's going to be one. There's no way there's not one hidden away. I mean, the board here feels as stiff as anything. So let's come and attack this area next. Camera ports. Notice these ones don't want to come off as quickly and easy as the other ones did. Yes, there's one screw. So we don't take this one off, take this one off. This is the motherboard screw, so we said we'll drop motherboard screws in over here. So now hopefully we know we've got nothing to worry about here. And we can disconnect all of the camera peripherals. Come on. 1, 2, 3. And then the last areas we need to investigate then are over here. I think it's this one here. Let's see if we are picking up any friction before we start tearing anything else off. It doesn't feel like we are. It just feel like we're stuck under the speaker though. I can see there's like a little board there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the speaker out There's not really much to them. I think that's it there. And put that screw over here, so that's the speaker one. And hopefully that's just going to pop out with one screw as well. But when it comes out though, it's butted in quite tight. Speaker. You know what? I hate to say this, but I'm a bit flipping exhausted now. So if you're keeping up with this, well done. Okay, so we're up. We don't appear to be caught on anything because I've got the system board out. So the system board, sayonara. We rest. We're 20 minutes in, so quick break. Phone 4 o'clock. Okay, I can go a little bit late to that. So moving on to the next one then. Just going to push pause a second. So now we've got this thing out. You're going to see something that we probably shouldn't let no engineer ever do, but it's going to get done nonetheless. I have no care for this battery or the risk it poses in my home. You have to be careful though, because you can crack the case. The gentleness of the pulls. Stop about halfway because you don't want that flapping about, and then do the same on this side. Now, when you're doing this, it's better to, if you don't care about what you're doing, it's better to do this bit with the battery cold because the battery stays more rigid. But just remember, you don't want to crack the case. And then when the two come up together, it becomes a bit easier then to do this. Now bear in mind what I'm showing you here, so much of this operation was made easier for you by the fact that the battery decided it had enough for the day. So there's a fending battery, gummed on. He will go to the bin as soon as possible. I have a box ready for him and we'll wave goodbye to him, so say goodbye. Have a little bow. This would put you somewhere else. I'm going to put you on the floor for now. And I'm going to pretend to you that I'm going to send it to a proper place. It's going to be good for the rest of its life. So sorry, I'm still working on my lap. So bear in mind I told you I just got a crappy old battery. Pop him back in again. And we don't have to glue because the existing glue is, because we haven't heated it up or applied any sort of like creams to it to like make it less sticky. You know, I've got a spray that I use to basically de-stick certain components. As long as that bit there goes back in that hole, so that circle there goes back into the little hole that it's got there allocated for it, everything should hopefully work nicely. Oh, come on. It's the easy bit, popping the battery back in again. Just ripped the battery out without much trouble, and now we're stuck on this. I think it might be because there's 2 bits of sticky tape on here, so I may just take this tape off for now. No, that's probably a bad idea, but that was a bad idea. Because now there's nothing to stick it down with. Right, so that's in there. A quick look to make sure it's level. Look like it's had a few drinks. So let's pop it back up again. Slide you back in so you're level and nice. Hole number 1 is here. Make sure that goes in. And then this has to go flat. So you start it off at a bend. So put it flat into the socket first. and then just let it naturally push in. So once I'm happy that this works, I'm going to just pop a bit of V7000 behind him, I think. Well, he seems to be sticking with something. No, he's not. Okay, I push pause. I'm going to get a little bit of double back tape. Let's cut with some double-sided tape. Just put a bit here, put a bit there, and hopefully that will give us the stability we need to get this thing pinned down nicely. So, as with all double back tapes, black pliers just to take off the other side. Come on, pliers. Exhausted. I thought this would only be about 20 minutes, but we're up to 25 minutes now already. Okay, right. Okay, right, and then we want to get this, that little hole in that little rivet area that I showed you before with the double-sided tape. So what I'm going to do is lift this up slightly to put it in the hole and then press it back down again. Like that. And then let the tape do its job. Okay, right, so we have one battery. In its home. And even if it doesn't work, like I said, I'm not 100% certain if it works, but I just have to have that other battery out. We then reverse the process, which, woohoo, you're thinking, what a wonderful day. We get our friend board, and we put him back in his relevant slot. Oh my god. Moving out anything that's key. If you remember when we were over here, there was that funky connector I mentioned. Make sure he's not stuck under the board. He's out now. Making sure all three of the camera connectors are popped out and not stuck under the board as well. You might want to lift it a little bit for that. Number 1, number 2, and number 3 if we can get you. You know, it's sometimes easy to set the cameras off as well. 1, 2, 3. Okay, he's out, he's out, he's out. The connector over here, he's out the way, he's out the way, and the power one, the most important one's out the way. So drop in my young motherboard. Now the reason why I'm doing this project and not just scrapped it is it's actually an i7 16 gig Surface Book, Surface Laptop, Surface Pro. We'll go through all of them before we get the right one. What we want to firstly do is just make sure that this is down now and it's screwed in. And it's making all the right noises when you push it down. It's not doing anything stupid. So we can start screwing in some motherboard screws. Well, I think it's worth popping the speaker in first. Because I've got the first screw for that one right here, which I think was a big fat silver one. And I can go back to the old. So I've got to go between bits of the screwdriver. So let's put him in. So that's the speaker one in. Here's a silver one that went there. And then there was funky black spinny ones down the bottom around here. What's the best way to do this next bit? Start putting those in as well. So I said motherboard screws are all around here, which is really helpful having 2 separate trays for screws. But they're using a different screw, which is great. They're using another bit. Having a magnetised set actually really helps as well. That's screw number 1 under the NVMe. Screw number 2 is right here somewhere. Sure, it's the same screw type, slightly flatter head, and then you can reconnect the power connector by just, that's the power connector there, you pull this little flappy bit here and you drive the connector back in. You know what, I'll do these on the 5 all the time. I don't know why the 4 has to be a bit more difficult. I'm not even showing it you properly either. I just assumed it would be a doddle. And it is a doddle. But just the angle that I'm seeing it. So he's back in again. Then we bring in bits that we've taken off already. And this one is the memory card reader. Well, I can't believe I got his name right. Which we pop back in on the board. It goes in there, in that little connector there. So we pop him back in again. What I find with the connectors, right, you can push down and it's great, but if you're not feeling that it's making a connection, take it back up again. Because the last thing you want to do is push it too hard. So I think from memory those screws were different. They were black and they used a different socket head as well, so that makes life a little bit easier when you come in to put it back in again. I think it's these 2 screws here. Yes. So although they you know it's going, you know it's right when the screw just drives its own way in. And we're, what, 20% of the way there now? Now hopefully if you do this, you're going to have a new battery here and not a piece of junk that you found lying around. And yours won't have to be revisited again at a later stage to put the right battery in. So the only screw we're missing is that one there that's a bit odd, and I think it's that screw here. I put it in the wrong box like a tip. So he goes back in there. In there, and then that's the speaker done. So we know all the big screws now that need to be done are done. So what we'd have a quick look at again is we pop this back over and we work out which screws we don't need to fill. So we don't need to fill him, we don't need to fill him because they're done by the fan, and we definitely don't need to do that one there because that's covered by this. So we don't put screws in here, here and here. We should really connect things back up again before we start doing any screws. Actually, I'm not going to do that because that's the power button and that's the only thing that can give it juice now. So well, whichever good, that's the only thing that can give it juice. So let's start screwing screws back in again for screw's sake. And from what I can see, they all look the same, which is quite encouraging. So I think I'm quite glad I did it. I'm happy I did it this way around. Let's see what happens, eh? So we can put one in here. One in here. Now the screw that goes in here fell out. So I'm half expecting to maybe have 1 or 2 screws missing, but I've got them. I've just got them in a slightly different place. But the screw needs to go down to hold it in place, so we're going to go there for this next one because we don't need to do one there, remember? Screws keep coming. And I've said this again, so I'll say it again. You should have a wrist thing on, an anti-static wrist mount on. So I really, to me this video is more about a bit of fun. Put something together. Hopefully if I can teach somebody else something new along the way, then that's what I get out of this video. You are fixing your PC. I don't want complaints saying my PC's dead. You told me to do it this way and it didn't work. 3 more screws. I can see 2 of those screws. I'm just trying to work out where the 3rd goes. So 1, 2, 2, where are you, number 3? You know, all good DIY projects are not good DIY projects unless you've got a screw left over. 2, I'm sure it's somewhere around here. Okay, so that's the board down. So that's one for the board, one for the board. It could be that one. Nothing around here, no holes around here. Nothing taken out around here. There's physically nothing there for it to do. I've got one here, but that's the fan. Okay, let's play it by ear then. Let's put you in. There's one. That's right there. Oh, right there. One screw hidden next to the speaker. I knew I didn't have that one screw because I've got it in another drawer. So in you go, last screwdriver. And then the next job I've got to do is connect all the speaker peripherals back up again. So I'll just use my little friend here. To be honest, you can just push the speakers; they just push straight back on. So there's the speaker. Where are you there? He just pushes straight back onto his connector there. As so, just hover it over it, and then push him down. So, push down. The next one though, I've got to go away for an angle because I need to see what's going on. This one here, all of these type of connectors, that one there, all of those type of connectors are an absolute git. So what I do is I lift up the flap and then I use the pinny little bit to pin the connector, drop it up, push it into the connector block. It is a bit tight because the speaker's in the way. And when it's in, once it's slid in, just push it flat to make sure it goes all the way in, and then push the white flap down. That one done. Okay. Only 300 more to do. I'm only joking. Only a few more to do. What we also have to do is clean off this CPU, but I'm not going to do that now, okay? Because this battery has to be replaced. So that's that, and I want to test to make sure it works. There's no other screws to come in, so let's get this speaker plugged in as well. Remember when I said I'm not going to plug, so again with that same funky cable over here, I'm not going to plug the power cable in until the end. So we grab that little hole there, put a little hole in. This one's really easy because there's no fan in there yet. As he says that, you can't get it in. Probably, I don't even know if you can see anything on that as well. This is quite a fiddly little one to get in because there's a bit of fluff here. Just move that fluff out of the way. A bit of fluff, bit of foam, and then try and drive him in if you can. If you can, you're doing a better job than I am. Oh, that's it. In he goes. Wait until you can't see his silver bit. Gold bit, sorry, and then push the button down. So we're only left with power now. And do we want to put the power down yet? 38 minutes. I guess we're going to have to power down. Here we go. Sorry. No, we can't do anything yet until we put some of the heat shields back on again. So this one went along here, didn't it? The way you can tell which way the heat shields go is you can look for the types of the connectors where the cable has to rest on it. Pop him back on. This one, God knows. I mean, it's got it. There's no other way for it to go. It's got to go along here. Oh, he's doing a good job of showing you what's going on down that side of town. So that one goes back on in there and it covers this cable. Just wondering if that one should have gone on. No, it can't do that because it's blocking it off. Where else could you have gone then? That has to be you. Schoolboy error. Did I put the cable down before I put the heat shield protector on? Yes, I did. So I hope this comes again. Jigsaw puzzles, eh? I honestly can't see how that goes on while that's in the place. So I'm going to pop this one back up again. I've gone a bit ahead of myself. Up you come, mister. You get back on around him. You know what, though? It does feel really loose, as if it's not connected to anything. Okay, now it feels strong. And then this goes over that. Gets plugged in, of course. I think I was so keen just to show you pushing it down. And then this guy can go back over him again. Is that right? Now I'm going to slice that cable like a tit. There you go. You didn't need to be taken off, if I remember. No, it was you that didn't need to be taken off. These can't go on yet until the screen's back on again. This can only go on one way. To be fair, it didn't even need to go off in the first place. How many heat shields do you want to put on the thing, eh? This goes over the cameras. Back you go. Now, if you're finding yours isn't sticking down very nicely, you can take them back on and push the connectors back in again. We really are just left with the big one that can't go on next, because that's got to go over that, and then the two small ones. So I guess there's no time like the present but to whack the fan back in again. You've got one screw there and one screw there. So now my first toolbox is empty. So I move on to my next toolbox, screw box even. Nothing in here. And we start trying to dig out screws now. I think I'm going to put the CPU screws back in first, because they're nice chunky screws and they're easy to work with. And I go 5, 4, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'll reverse 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll be surprised if it makes any difference whatsoever, other than we're just crossing screws in to keep it uniform. Easy to install, so we're not uniform. 2, that's 1 now, that is, and then 2 is next. So no order following there at all. So that CPU back down again. So now we need to get the... I've got some different screws and some different types and some different bits. So I think I'm going to put the antenna back on first, because that will get rid of a bunch of screws that I'm not quite sure what they are. So I'll know straight away that that's a big chunk of the screws that have gone. So on the antenna, remember, I've got to push the thing back on the board again. There you go. And then the antennas are in, so it's these screws here. That's 1. 2. Another trick that I found is, because I've gone back into the same 3, because I've gone using the same case, I've not swapped cases. When I take a screen off a case, you tend to get lucky and you can just glue the thing back down again without clearing it all up. And because, as I said, right, it's only a toy for me. This one is. I actually might give that a go. Right, so I know I've got one big screw in number 8. If you remember me mentioning, I've got the one big screw here. So let's put that in there now. And all of the other screws now should just be simple standard screws. I do have one silver. If I can remember what that silver went to, I'll be happy. I think the last silver went in number 6. Let's just put that out of the way. This is where a picture would be useful to go back to. I'm going to just leave that lodged in there for now because I want to get all the other screws in first that I know we had when we started this job off. So 5. Down here. Oh, okay, there wasn't one there. Guess what, there was one there as well. Right now I've got 2 screws that are in my drawer, which I don't know how or why I have them. I've definitely messed up in the next one motherboard screw, so let's put you back in again. Right, okay, so that is every screw that I had, bar the one I've got in my drawer for the one that goes over the battery connector. And there you go. The one in the battery connector, which went, oh god, that's the screen. Just don't remember what that is. Come on, kid. You know you put the screw somewhere. Where have you put it? It's definitely not on the bottom. I'm gonna lose a screw. My lessons myself. If you put a screw somewhere, make sure you remember where you put the bloody thing. Now lucky for me, I've got screws pretty much hanging around all over the place. Let's quickly ask past. I'll probably put it somewhere else now. Okay, so we need that screw. It doesn't look like it's a very technical screw in any way, shape or form. So I'm just going to go and nab a screw from somewhere else. Oh, I moved it into here, didn't I? Let's assume I moved it into this box. No, that's a Phillips. That is a Phillips screw. It's not one of you. Is it you? Are you Phillips as well? No, you're talking. So that's gone in, but it didn't make a convincing noise as it went in. So I'm staying. So the last thing to do is to give it juice. I hope we don't get a bang or smoke. A fan first. Fan goes here. Pop it in, make sure this bit's up. Drive it in. Don't want to see any gold. Push the flap down. And put the big ugly case thing back on it again. And it's just the 2 connectors now, and they're 2 heat shields. So let's be brave. Let's see how much damage we did to the screen. Like I said, I don't expect the screen to work. It's, you know, I'm just I think I would love it to work. I'm not going to lie to you, I would love it to work. But I'm a realist. Heat and screen removals is always a bit of a challenge. So putting the connectors back onto this is going to be a bit of a challenge. So what I'll do is I will try and do that and do that and let you get a view like that. It's easier for me to do it like this. Ooh, didn't realise I had two of those. Let's put you back where you belong. Okay, screen back in again. Not screen back in again, so it's a camera. So these are quite easy. There's one connector that goes in there. And I believe that's your main power cable. And you get this one, that's the digitizer. That's what controls the touch, so you have to bring that one a little bit closer. And just pop it in. I mean, these are proper fiddly little things. Push the button, any joy? And that might just be because the battery's dead. Or the battery doesn't work. And as I said, I don't expect the thing to work. I can hear a fan. So that's both a good thing and a bad thing. You can also see a battery charging. Two hours and 8 minutes until charge. Okay, well, I'm fairly happy with that. So last thing to check really is the battery report. So 170. And the cycle count for the battery. But more importantly, its full capacity is 36,360 with a design capacity of 38,152. So I honestly was expecting that to be terrible, but more importantly, what you've seen today, just to quickly summarise this video, is a okay fan. We know you're there. Is a Surface Pro 4 with a battery that was expanding and a device that cost me little money off eBay. Bought screen taken off because the screen was working. Screen reconnected and there's no problems with it from what I can tell. It all looks fine. Battery swapped, faulty battery going to find its way to a suitable bin. New battery, replacement battery gone in. And I guess from my point of view, I like to if I can sell it on to someone or give it to a family member or get a few months out of it myself on it, because it is such a high spec machine for its age anyway, just saves it from going into the bin. And if you see these on eBay and you think, I fancy a go at one of these, you've seen the tools that you need. It might not have been the best video for you from a detail point of view. I just wanted to show you that it actually does work. Though how you do it is down to you, but I'll tell you what, this light on here is, I'm just going to turn that off. Where are you, light? There's the connector for the light. Let's turn you off. Then hopefully you can see that it's had a 512 SSD in it, and it is a Surface Books 4 i7 16 gig of RAM. Well worth saving from the scrap heap, I think. Thanks for watching. If you fancy having a go at this, put something in the comments when you get stuck, or let me know if you do it yourself. Take care. Adios.